Coach, not the result that you wanted to end the season, but just looking back, how would you assess the entire year, and then a game like tonight where your guys kind of never really gave up over the course of the game?
Well, Justin, I'll just share with you what I said to our team after the game, and that is, this is the 17th team that I've had as a head coach, and I've never been prouder of a group of guys than I am of this year's team. We entered the year with 10 new players. The 3 returners that played in games a year ago were Christian Coloco, Ira Lee, and Jamal Baker. And unfortunately for both Jamal and our team, we lost Jamal to the season-ending injury. So if you think about it, in a sense, the 12 guys that we have on our roster, 10 of them didn't play in the game for us. Throw in COVID and how hard that's been on every team. And certainly we've had some good fortune. But to never get shut down one time from the first day of school to the last game of our season, I think you have to give the players a lot of credit. You're not going to be able to do that unless they're disciplined and following the protocols that were set forth. And, we had 80 practices. I can't really think of a single moment. You always have certain practices that are better than others, but this is a group of guys that really gave us everything. And really the same thing this season. We chose to play a non-conference season, A, for safety, and then, B, knowing that maybe we would have a chance to schedule down the road. But 11-9 in the Pac-12 and 17-9, you always want to do better. But I have the peace of mind that we battled hard in all 26 games. And the fact that we sit here with 17 wins, I can make a strong argument that it could have been a lot worse based on where we were in August. The last point just with this year's team is just the future. I believe that the last 3 teams, we've not returned a single starter from the previous year. And there's reasons for that. I'm the head coach and I understand all of them. But that's not to your advantage to be successful. I think for the first time in that 4-year stretch, you were poised to return a lion's share of this year's team, to bring in a new group in addition to that. And instead of replacing 5 starters, that experience, my hope is more towards our advantage. So it's always weird when the year ends, but when it ends here in Eugene, Oregon, and you're not in the Pac-12 tournament, there's not a single player in our locker room that was here or had anything to do with why we're not playing in this tournament. And, my heart really goes out to them. It's not been easy, but they and we have really, I think, done a great job of getting all the way to the end. And now it's so much more about where we go from this point forward. So was kind of the words that I shared with our team. The 2 true seniors that we lose, Ira Lee and Matt Weand, both of those guys are great kids. They were here for 4 years, certainly grew up a lot during that time, and really we'll be sad to see them leave us.
And so does that mean that Terrell Brown is coming back next year?
I would like to tell you everybody or this guy's coming back and this guy isn't, but I think you know what I'm going to say. In the next couple of weeks, we'll make sure that we have our meetings with each player. They're all able to come back. But I think the lion's share will, but that's really up to them. I've never really told a player what to do, how to do it. We give them our opinion, but I think I have a pretty good sense of who's going to come back. And I think it's exciting to think about, maybe not at this very moment here as the year ends, but as we move forward.
Sean, a lot of definite talk about the future. Does that? I assume that means, or does that mean for sure no game? I hate to keep asking you this, but I mean that non-conference.
Yeah.
Is this it?
Bruce, I don't think it's going to be a possibility between these other teams in their conference tournament, and as we've started to explore even playing next week. I mean, it's just so hard on our guys to have to extend it for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days for what? I think there's a time where we all have to kind of take our ball and go home. And I think now's that time for us.
Okay. And again, because you are talking a lot about the future, uncertainty with you, 1 year left on your contract, like Brian asked you last week, do you expect to get an extension or at least have this resolved one way or another, or what could happen?
Bruce, I don't expect anything. I know that now that the season's over, I'm going to have the opportunity to talk to Dr. Robbins and Dave Hickey, and I look forward to having that opportunity to do that. When that time happens, I think that I'll certainly know a lot more.
Okay, and one final thing, just about the game tonight. You mentioned Oregon being what they are. What was the difference tonight? They out-rebounded you again. You haven't had that happen much this year. Was that a lot of it, or some of the early turnovers, the way they played against Azulis early? What kind of jumped out at you?
Well, first of all, I think we have to look and say how did we play? Again, we played single-digit turnovers, kind of unique in that we had 8 in the first half and only 1 in the second half. But when you play against Oregon and you can play with single-digit turnovers, I mean, that is a really, really good thing. Offensively, we did a lot of excellent things. I mean, we were 45% from the field, 35% from three. Again, we didn't make as many free throws. We got there 19 times, 9 turnovers. The thing that they've done in both games against us is they manhandle us on the rebounding part of things, and that's a real credit to their team. They are a bigger team than you think. They don't have necessarily like 6'10" or 7 foot in the game at all times, but their wings and their guards are big, and those guys are men. They're older, they're experienced, and then even Will Richardson as their point guard, he's 6'5". They're good. They are a better team than us, and for us to beat them on their court, not only would we have had to play a great game, and I thought we were solid, but they would have had to be a little off. And the way they shoot the ball, I mean, it's hard to beat them when they shoot it like they did against us.
James, not the ending that you guys wanted to your season, but all things considered, how would you just look back on how you were able to get through this year?
I think I had an all right year. I think me and my teammates, we fought hard. And it was really fun playing with you guys. And man, it sucks to end the way we did, but we got to go home, kind of reflect on the year, and talk about what's next moving forward.
And what do you think this team showed over the course of the year, despite there being no postseason?
A lot of toughness, a lot of focus, and a lot of heart. I think many people expected us to give up once we found out there was no postseason, but we kept fighting and just kept playing like we did have something to play for.
Bruce Pasco, Arizona Daily Star. Bruce?
Kind of along those lines, James, but did you feel like, you were able to make it, what particular parts of your game do you think that you were able to get better? I mean, certainly you're a big part of what this team has done. It seemed like, do you feel like that in the leadership role, or what was it that you felt good about?
I think I've really grown as a leader, especially playing with this team with a lot of new guys, 10 new players, most of them being freshmen, some of our core guys being freshmen, and I really feel like they really helped me, force me to become a leader fast, and I feel like I really grown in that area.
I know it's early and you're focused on the game, but I mean, do you have any initial thoughts on, like, do you want to come back next year and go for this again, or kind of what could happen with you in the future?
Focus on the game right now.
Yeah.
I want to go back and reflect on my teammates. It's too early to think about anything like that.
Okay. Thanks.
Steve Rivera. Steve?
Yes, James, along those lines, you kind of already answered some of it. How difficult was it, given COVID, the no postseason, things like that, from start to finish, where, there was just a long season, or was it a long season?
It was a really long season. It was real difficult. Some of the things that, we were stripped from, like playing in front of our crowd at McKell Center, other things like that, playing in front of any crowd. It was really tough, getting up every morning, every single day at 6:45 to COVID test, having to sacrifice, even being with your friends, things like that for this right here. So it was tough, but, I would do it all over again. I'm glad that, all my guys went to sacrifice.